We just saw this with the Pac-12, and the ACC is about to make the same mistake. If you don't adapt with the modern times, your conference will fizzle out. Me personally, here's why I think this is a terrible move, and you're setting yourself up for failure. Wow. Well. When I first saw this news, I immediately thought of the Dodgeball movie where they say, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off for them. That's how I feel at the ACC. It's a bold strategy. Let's see how it pays off. And honestly, I think it's not going to pay off. Just between me and you, I think they're going to fall flat on their face just like the Pac-12 did. But don't tell the ACC I said that, because in their eyes, they're making a great decision. Or not in their eyes, but in their mind. I think that'd be... You get what I'm trying to say. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is what I would like to label as a conference-altering decision. I also believe this is self-sabotage at its finest. Why is it self-sabotage? Because yes, it is great to learn from your own mistakes, but it's even better to learn from other people's mistakes. That doesn't apply just for college football, guys. That applies to your everyday life. I myself, I make many mistakes and I try to learn from them, but however, I like to learn from other people's mistakes as well. Because if I can watch somebody else fail at something, I'm going to let them do it and I'm going to learn. And I bring that up because it's so odd to me, because the ACC, you just saw the Pac-12 literally disintegrate. And yet you are choosing to go down the same path they did? Come on, man. It's not exactly the same path, but you'll see what I'm talking about in this video. Also in tonight's late night Friday night video, we got to talk about the Pac-12 again. I know, man, it seems like we can't go a couple of days without talking about the Pac-12, but I feel like this will be the last time for a while. The reason we're going to be talking about the Pac-12 is because in fall of 2022, ESPN actually offered them a big-time contract, which they turned down. And I know some of you are going to be sitting there saying, well, Matt, it's in the past. Why are we talking about this? Guys, the reason we're talking about this is because if the Pac-12 would have said yes to this and they would have agreed on it, none of this conference realignment stuff that's currently happening would have happened in the first place. Craziness, man. Absolute craziness at its finest. You know what we're about to talk about. All right, Matt, blah, blah, blah. Shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, I meant to say this in the intro, but I'll say it now. Hope all of you had a great week, and I can't even believe it's Friday. The off season, it has flown by. But not only the off season, this week flown by. Hope all of you had a great week. If not, hope this video can really top it off and make it a little bit better. Kick back, relax, get you some popcorn, get you your favorite snack or meal you like to eat when you watch a video, because trust me, I do the same thing. Let's talk about football for about 8 to 10 minutes. Does that sound good? Sounds good to me. Let's do it. Where do we want to start with this? I say we start with the Pac-12. We'll get it out of the way, only talk about it for a couple of minutes. We all know, if you haven't been living under a rock, the Pac-12, it disintegrated. I've talked about that so much. Sorry, I'm not sorry. If you're not caught up to date, it's not fair to the other people that have been watching the videos. You gotta go check out some of the previous videos. The Pac-12 fell apart, but recently news came out that the Pac-12 had an offer from ESPN of $30 million per school in fall of 2022. Guys, that was only about a year ago, not too long. You want to know the funniest part about this? The network wanted it all, but the presidents and chancellors wanted more. The deal never happened because the Pac-12 wanted $50 million per school. Think about that. $50 million per school? Y'all ain't worth that. And that's such a crazy difference, and ESPN, they responded to it with quote-unquote goodbye. And the reason they did it is because, let me give you an example of what this is like. That'd be the equivalent of listing your house for sale for $375,000 and somebody puts in an offer for $200K. Like, what? No! Goodbye, end of conversation. We're not even communicating after that. That's how it was for ESPN. There's that, yeah, we're not even gonna continue this conversation. To me, I think $30 million per Pac-12 school, that's a great deal. That's fair. I will gladly say this, no problem whatsoever. I think the Pac-12 schools are worth about $30 million a piece. That's a good deal. But the Pac-12, they got greedy. They was like, no, we want $50 million. Sometimes in life, you had to have self-awareness. The Pac-12 is the least watched Power 5 conference in America. There may be some diehard Pac-12 fans watching this video. I know we got a bunch of Oregon fans. By the way, shout out to the Oregon fan base. I always see the Oregon fans in the comment section. Shout out to y'all. And also the USC fans. I see a lot of USC fans. Much love. But all in all, people on the West Coast don't live and die and breathe, sleep football like people in the Southeast and up north in the Big Ten. And even the same thing for the middle of the country in the Big 12, and I'd even say some teams in the ACC. So for you to turn down a $30 million deal at ESPN, I can't get over that. Maybe if you would have countered with like $35 million, I could understand it, but you countered with 50? Come on, man. It's laughable to say the least. I can't believe that. ESPN offered them 30 mil and they countered with 50. And well, look at how the tables have turned. A year later, Apple TV was wanting to give them 17 million and they were like, no, we need 30. Well, you know what's funny about this? ESPN offered you 30 million last year and you said no. Gosh, man, the Pac-12, the reason they fell apart is because of the commissioner and the previous commissioner at that as well. That conference could have stayed relevant for the next 45 years if they had played their cards right. And this is why your leader of your conference is so powerful, because a couple bad decisions and boom, the conference is dead. Unbelievable, man, unbelievable. Let me know in the comment section. I'm curious. What do you think the Pac-12 teams were worth? I'm going to say 30 million. That's my number. I think they're worth 30 mil. Anything above that, 35? No. But I can get down with 30. Speaking of conferences and the realignment and stuff, moving along here to the main topic of the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto this video. What in the world is going on with the ACC? Oh, man, it just seems like a never-ending saga. What's going to happen with these conferences moving forward? I don't know. But here's what I do know. Chaos will happen. And you can also mark this down. The ACC, the current teams in it, they're not going to be in there for the next 10 to 15 years. There's going to be some changes in the SEC. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If you've been keeping up with college football, you know this. The reason I've gathered you all here today, though, is because some news came out about the ACC. Some shocking news, to say the least. We just saw this with the Pac-12, and the ACC is about to make the same mistake. If you don't adapt with the modern times, your conference will fizzle out. I know some of you have no idea what I'm talking about, so check this out. I'm just going to read it word for word from this article. Notre Dame, an ACC member in every sport but football, is pushing, or they were pushing at the moment, for the ACC to add Stanford in California, while SMU told the ACC the Mustangs would not require any league revenue for the first 5 to 7 years after joining. So pretty much to sum that up, Notre Dame was like, hey, we want Stanford in California, bring them into the conference. And to go along with that, you had SMU saying, hey, we don't even want money for the first 5 to 7 years. We'll join for free. You ain't got to pay us a dime. We're just happy to be here. We're in it for the long run. Now, here's where things get a little wishy-washy. As to why Notre Dame was making such a huge push for Stanford in California, I have no idea. If you know anything about that, please fill us in the comment section, because I know nothing. Don't know why they'd want that, but the point is they were pushing for it. But check this out. A source in the ACC said, quote unquote, Notre Dame initiated us bringing on Stanford and Cal and continues to push, yet Notre Dame won't join the ACC as a full-time member. That doesn't make sense to us. Now let's talk about that. That also doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. And why does Notre Dame even have a say in this? Is this not weird to y'all? Notre Dame, who is not a part of the ACC in football, says, hey, bring in Stanford and California. We want them a part of the ACC, which is all fine and dandy if you were a part of the ACC, but Notre Dame isn't even a part of it. I don't even understand how they have a horse in this race. Why do they even get to have an opinion on it? I have no idea. But the bottom line is, and what you need to know, is Notre Dame wanted Stanford, California, and SMU to join. Or maybe not wanted, but I think a better word to use is they supported it. And for those of you that are wondering, well, Matt, why wouldn't SMU join for free without getting money for the first 5 to 7 years? They'd be missing out on about roughly $150 million, which I think we can all agree that's a lot of money. And the reason for that is fairly simple. They're playing the long-term game. I definitely understand that. SMU, they're playing chess, not checkers, because they know in the long run they'll get that money back and more. And to make a long story short here, I mean, there's a lot more to this, but I'm just going to sum it up. The rest of the ACC, they weren't a fan of adding Stanford and California. Notre Dame was the oddball out. Me personally, here's why I think this is a terrible move and you're setting yourself up for failure. Do I necessarily think that Stanford and California fit the ACC? No. They're all the way on the West Coast, and it'd be a heck of a travel for not just football, but all your sports teams. It may cost you some money in the travel department, and it's not very convenient. That's what I'm looking for. Convenient. I think we can all agree on that, and that's one of the drawbacks from it, even they talked about. I've said this probably at least 55 times in the past month. Florida State and Clemson have made it clear they want to leave, and they are going to leave. Say it with me now. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. To go along with that, we heard rumors last year that Miami's also thinking about leaving. We've also heard rumors that Virginia Tech, and North Carolina, they're thinking about leaving in the future. My point is, I don't know if you're going to lose 2 teams in the future or maybe 6 or 8 teams, but you're going to lose some. So why not now act on it beforehand? Don't sit back and wait like the Pac-12. Because the Pac-12 is in a vulnerable position. They just sat back, thought everything was going to be kosher, and boom, next thing they know, they got 4 teams in the conference. You could see the exact same thing happen with the ACC. I'm telling you, it's deja vu. History tends to repeat itself. It may not be convenient to add Stanford and California, but at least if you add them, you'll be prepared for whenever you lose a couple of teams, because that will happen. But by the rest of your team sitting back and going, oh yeah, we don't want them, we don't want you to approve it, you're setting yourself up for disaster. And the funniest part about all this is the programs and universities saying, oh yeah, we don't want to add Stanford and California. These are the same programs and universities that are going to be leaving. So I don't even understand why the commissioner would even listen to them whatsoever. Maybe they have to, I don't know. I mean, seriously, let's think about it for example. Let's just say Clemson and Florida State, they say, no, we vote no. We don't want to add Stanford and California. And then in 3 years from now, they leave the ACC. I could sit up here and talk about this all day, but I just firmly believe you are hurting yourself by not expanding your conference. Everybody else has done it. The SEC, Big Ten, and the Big 12. And oh yeah, now that I think about it, when is Notre Dame going to grow some balls and join a conference? What is up with Notre Dame being independent? I'm tired of that. Join a conference. Quit being a weenie. That's the stupidest thing ever. Let me know your thoughts on everything we talk about down below. But